another video. We are working on the Integra, and if you look at it, things are looking great. I've started to kind of get all the tape and everything off of the firewall and reinstall these little black plugs and things like that. I've got the rear mount in. That's just about all that I've really done. Just took a few minutes to sort of clean it up, and it's looking pretty good. Got some packages that just arrived, so we can continue to move on this thing. Next thing up is the wiring. So if you notice here, got all this wiring that we need to tuck through, and we're gonna go over that. It's pretty simple. Hybrid racing fuel rail. Putting our hybrid racing oil cap on. Now we're also going to use our hybrid racing dipstick, which is a really cool piece.
Yeah, I got the juice, yeah, I got the juice. Whip game cool, make them look like cool. Always play cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing that.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood for sure. So, still gotta put this thing on. I'm gonna install the upper control arm hardware. You can see there's a little rubber O-ring, which is pretty cool, protects the paint. The great thing about these things is that really it covers up any paint imperfections, because these do crush the paint pretty badly. They give you new nuts. Okay guys, so I've been working on this thing, trying to get just the little things touched up. I was trying to get everything ready for the JB Tune fuel system that I have on the way. I was cleaning some things up, and then I started to notice something, and I then decided I need to pull out the steering rack because it's a power steering rack, and something didn't seem right because there was a lot of fluid leaking all of a sudden, and I really wanted to get it nice and clean, which, you know, is another thing too. So yeah, I'm not sure if I just got set back or what. So here's my steering rack. You can see that obviously the boot's ripped. That's pretty typical. It's overall pretty messed up. This whole side is toast and broken. Mostly just a inner tie rod, I think, but it is pouring fluid out of this thing. Given the circumstance and the situation, I may just try to find a manual rack. I know a lot of people love power steering, but with a manual rack and the right set of wheels and tires, it's really not that bad as far as steering. The only thing that's kind of annoying me about it is that it just kind of feels like it's pushing me back a little bit. Obviously, I've got the passport mount in with the red hardware, and I've got the upper control arm hardware, which looks great here. See in there, there was a red coilover in there, but we're gonna go over the coilovers here in a little bit, but I've got the MPC strut brace, which cleans it up, makes it look really nice. And they make them in different colors as well. So yeah, I was working on mounting the hybrid racing fuel pressure regulator over here. Everything's just about ready to go. I was trying to finish up all the brake stuff. I've still gotta put this seal in, which is a pain in the ass for the AC, tuck the wires, and hopefully get to some of that. So we're moving right along. It is February, and I feel like I'm starting to feel the pressure because I've got just about 2 months to finish this thing. I was hoping to take this thing to Import Alliance Atlanta, but I don't know if we're gonna make it, but it's gonna be a mad dash to find out. Yes, it is a beautiful day outside. I hopefully got a much better attitude today. So I have been working on this thing quite a bit over the weekend, and all the hardware is pretty much done. I finally got the hybrid racing fuel pressure gauge on, and I've been working on trying to locate this fuel pressure regulator, but I might actually locate it a little lower down here, possibly. I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to work all that out, but anyway, so let's move forward. So now, if you notice, we could talk about suspension and wiring. I've been working on the wiring here. This is all the wiring here, and you're probably like, oh no, you skipped ahead. Very simple. Thing is, when we're going K-series, what I did was I stripped back all of the tape and the plastic loom and peeled it all off clearly. Then what I did was I separated it into sections. This section here is the section for the fuse box. The fuse box is gonna stay here. I like that type of location, but we were definitely tucking the headlight wires. Then we have this section of wires that you can tell by the plugs that this normally goes to the engine harness. Well, we're going K-series, so we don't need these. We're not gonna use these. Then we have all of the ABS stuff, and you can tell by the orange connectors that we don't need any of this stuff. So what that leaves is, drumroll please. So this is everything for the headlights and the AC. So I need to zip tie these in. So these are for the AC. And the way that I got it through there was I depinned everything. As you can see here, here's a wire that I depinned that I need to put the plug back on. This is for the horn. It's a one wire, so I just haven't done that yet. And the way I did this is for the corner light. Now this has a JDM front end that has a jumper that uses the corner light that jumpers this into this and then goes over here to this light. I know, it's super confusing. But essentially what I did was I depinned everything, including the ground. I pushed all the wires through. This hole right here on the side, I didn't make this hole. This is a factory location. And I zip tied them all against here. You can see you can use zip ties to kind of make it sit right here. When we're done with this, I'm gonna loom it all up and make it look all nice and pretty. But I'm just trying to make sure all the links are where they need to be. So I'm pulling everything this way. So once you pull all the wires through, I'm going to loom this and make sure that it doesn't rub on either side. I've done other wire tuck videos in the past and I get questions all the time about how to do it. It's simple if you know what you're doing. If you do not know what you're doing, don't attempt to do it. I have a video where I did the example on an EK Civic or EJ Civic, and the process is the same. It doesn't matter if you're using an EG Civic or an Integra, the process is exactly the same. You have to identify the wires of what they are, get them through the other side. Now you can go super easy and just drill big holes or drill holes on the other side of the firewall, which some people do. But this is the way that I like to do it. I'm not gonna sit here and show you each in every single wire, but the way that I do it is I take a picture of each plug, then I depin that plug, I put it through the hole, and then as soon as I put it through the hole, I repin that plug with those wires, and I do each one at a time. Again, if you're not comfortable with wiring, do not attempt it. Just stay organized and do one wire at a time. That's what I tell everybody. It's super simple once you kind of understand that. Otherwise, just don't do it if you're not sure. Don't go cutting wires and then reattaching them on the other end. I don't recommend that at all, because then you're really just messing up the integrity of the wiring. So the process that I do is take a picture, depin it, put it through the hole, repin it, then voila, you're done.
Let's creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating.
So I'm kind of at a stopping point right now because the wiring on the driver's side is a little bit, I'm gonna really have to go through that, and because it's JDM headlights, I gotta go through some wiring stuff. So I'm at a stopping point, and I figured I would take this opportunity to sort of reconnect with you guys in the spirit of sort of understanding what's going on with the car and why things are the way they are and why I've been making the choices that I've been making. Given the comments in the last couple of videos, I think maybe there's a misconception as to what I'm doing with this car. This car, this Integra that I'm putting together, is meant to be more of a fun, sort of not so super high level sort of build, if you want to call it a build. In regards to the reason why was because I built the EJ1 up to such a level that it was honestly, it got to the point where it wasn't fun. People ask me all the time, do I miss the EJ1? And the answer is no. Probably the main reason for that is that summer of 2018, I drove that car a lot, and I mean a lot. Drove that car all over the place, and I took it on a bunch of mountain runs that I didn't really film or show. So I really got my enjoyment out of that car. But after that, you know, the problem I had with the car was that it was so nice that I just got nervous taking it anywhere. With this car, I want it to be more budget, fun friendly. I want to have fun with this car. I want to make choices that don't seem to make sense at all. Hence the valve cover. It's just a valve cover. I've got different valve covers. The thing with building a car or having a project car is you can constantly change what you're doing. I'm having a great time, you know, building this and putting this together. The thing is really, it's odd to me that people are commenting thinking that I'm trying to build this show car or this drag car or this all-wheel drive car. I'm not doing that. I'm building a street car that's supposed to be fun. So suspension. The car had Buddy Club in plus suspension on the car, which I got to ride and experience firsthand. For me, it was way too stiff. My experience with it has been, I got an Integra years ago that had Skunk 2 Pro 2 suspension, and I was so excited about this suspension. I was like, this is real, you know, coilovers, I'm gonna be able to do this, this, and this. I got the car, I took it for a drive down some really, really curvy roads, and I was blown away on how aggressively the car was able to handle and stick to the road, and I was just, my mind was blown. And then I started to drive it back and forth to work every day and around town, and I wanted to just end life because it was so unbelievably stiff. Later on down the road, I was able to experience other suspensions. I eventually found my happiness point. So my favorite suspension has come down to TN, and one of the reasons for that, I believe, is the spring rates. So given that I'm not really a fan of super stiff suspension, I started to look around for what was an affordable choice and what was something that you know, that would work well for the street. And it really came down to spring rates. Just about everything that I found had really stiff spring rates. So after searching everything, looking through reviews, something that's affordable, I ended up with this brand. Ta-da! The MaXpeedingrods, everybody's favorite budget coilover. And these are impressively good. So when you unbox this bad boy, ta-da! It's missing one of the coilovers because I installed one already. Already put one on that side. But these things, for what they are and the money that you get, they are actually a phenomenal choice. And these are the ones with dampening. So I really wanted to try these out. Plus you can get them in red, yippee-ki-yay. I'm sort of excited. The spring rates for these are 8 in the front and 5 in the rear. And for most other coilovers, you're usually dealing with like a 10 to 12 on the front and a 8 to 10 on the rear. So for me, that's like way too stiff. I like a softer suspension. I've actually had the non-dampening and I wanted to try the dampening, so we're gonna give this a go. So when you pull these bad boys out of the bag, these are actually really nice. These are actually really nice. Dampening. I think these are 16-way adjustable. The reviews on these are really good. I'm gonna leave the settings completely how they are out of the box and then go from there. I'm gonna be doing a review on these later on to see how they run and see how they do. Of course, they give you the adjustment keys. So they send these spacers for the front and these washers for the rear. They basically make these for the size of the EF. So because we're using on an Integra, we have to use this guy. So we'll just pop it on. Good to go. Now I know what you might be thinking. You're like, why use these? These are made in China. In fact, every time I've seen, installed, used a set of these, they're surprisingly good for the price. I mean, you just cannot beat them. You know, big secret within the industry is that most coilovers are made in Taiwan. And they just choose different spring rates and different dampening rates and just go with different settings for each brand. Now they actually send nuts for the coilovers, but we're not using these because they're a little bit big. We're using the MPC strut brace for these. They actually send you nuts that fit in there, no problem. And this fork, all the way down. Little metal piece has a space in it. You want to line that up. Alright, so I wasn't recording. I just put the strut in there, and I also used the MPC strut tower hardware Has a nice rubber O-ring to protect the paint as well. Probably see a little better on this side. Sun's starting to go down. And of course on the bottom we're gonna put this through using the hardware as well. Red to death. Now we just gotta do it on this side as well. And we're just about finished all with the back. It's warm down here in Florida. Yeah, this is where I'm gonna wrap the video up. I did something a little silly, I guess. I went ahead and put the front body panels on the car. I didn't like bolt them all on or anything, but I need to clean that side of the garage. But to do that, I put the headlights from bumper and fenders on just to see what it looked like with the color. And it looks pretty good. I mean, everything is absolutely filthy, but looks pretty cool. With this guy in there, it might work pretty good. I'm gonna light it up. Let's see, these are the lights that I have in here. It's almost starting to look like a car again. So now we have suspension. I'm thinking about putting the rear wheels on and dropping the bottom so that way I can get sort of an angle on the car. See if we can put the engine in from the bottom this time. At least that's kind of the idea or plan, but of course I still need to finish a lot of this stuff up. So it's not that much more. I'm hoping, you know, maybe another week I can wrap all this stuff up and finally get the engine in. But it's exciting. It's finally starting to get there. Got spoon calipers off to the side. I was cleaning them. Still trying to figure out what to do with the spoon calipers because I've had a lot of people offer me a lot for them. I wanted to do an RBC, but that's just not really something that's in the budget, and we're gonna need to get K-Pro. All right, guys, so this is where we're gonna wrap the video up. Thank you so much for watching. Click subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell. I gotta say that again in 2020. Hit the bell. Comment down below, and if you do want to get in touch with me, the best place to do that is probably through Instagram or Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. Click like because it really does help. See you in the next one. Peace out. Keep living your dream.